and welcome to the Basic to Bold podcast. I am your host, Jen Bjornson. Today I want to talk about free things, all free things on different ways and free things or very, very cheap ways that I started to heal myself and really see a big change in my life. So before I dive into it, if you want to help me out in any way, if you enjoy this podcast and it helps you, please share it with a friend. Please share it with people who you think might enjoy it also. That really, really helps us out. All right, so to dive in, the first thing I want to talk about is one of the first things that I absolutely love for free. This helped my health, this helped my mental health, and that was getting out in the sun. I even had literally a doctor prescribe me 20 minutes of sunlight every day. And it was kind of funny when I first heard this because I thought, well, not that it's ridiculous, but I thought, okay, I feel like I'm going crazy. Really, this is what you got? Like, this is it? Okay. But I really started doing it. And don't you kind of hate it when like the stupid thing that you're thinking of and you kind of mocked it? Isn't it kind of irritating when it actually works? But it did. It really did. When you get about 20 minutes a day and you just sit there and the sun hits you, no sunglasses, no hat, no sunscreen, and you just feel the warmth, it feels so good. And it's just kind of like, I don't know if this is true, but to me, it felt like I hit a dopamine. It was so wonderful. And so I kind of got addicted to it a little bit because it was so great to have that boost every day, especially when I was really, really struggling mentally. And so that is the first thing that I started doing was sometimes I could just sit in a window and like open the window up. Other times I got to actually get outside to do it. But that was such a huge thing. Now this is not free, but it's kind of the next thing, and that's taking D3. But getting out in the sun, definitely a must. Okay, the next thing is good water. The next free thing, good water. Now, I personally I'm a water snob. If it tastes bad or if it's got a weird aftertaste, like if there's anything, I cannot. So invest, if you can, into some good water, some good alkaline, hydrating water. But that's like kind of the next step. If you're a person who just, for whatever reason, struggles with water, then do the best that you can. If you need to add little things to it, fine. But at the same time, just get more water. More water. Definitely more water. And whatever, play around with it. For me, I used to not like water as much. I used to, I could drink juice, I could drink pop, I could drink all this stuff. And then when I found good water, alkaline water, like good, it tastes good. It actually feels like it's hydrating you. There's a difference. I don't know how else to describe it, but there's a difference when you have really good water. And for me, I use the it's like Kagan water system. That's what I use. It's not an ad or anything, just what I found that I really love to use. Like I said, I'm a water snob, but it could be that if you don't like drinking water, try different things to get yourself to drink water, because it could be the water in your area. Us being military as a family, we have lived in so many places, and I'm telling you, I didn't think I was a water snob. I didn't know that I was, mainly because all growing up, I grew up on, mountain spring water, well water. Like, it was always cold. It was always amazing. And it was really good mountain water. And then when I'd move into, when we started moving around with the military and moving into cities, and it was, I don't know, not processed. I don't really know what they call it, but there's definitely a taste, and I'm with you. I never knew how people could not like water until I started moving around, and there were some places horrible water. So that's the second thing. All right. The next free thing that if you can get yourself to do this is so beneficial, and that is fasting. Now, when I first started and I was so unhealthy mentally, physically, my goal was to do it once a month. That was my goal. And I know right now intermittent fasting is such a big thing, which I do like intermittent fasting. I really enjoy that now. But at the beginning, if I fasted, I felt nauseous, I felt sick, I felt all the things. And it really is, you've got to work through stuff, because that's your body telling you things are wrong, things are not right, things are messed up. Like if you're feeling lightheaded, if you're feeling this, if you're feeling that, that is your body telling you that things are off. So you don't want to just jump into intermittent fasting. Do obviously like work with a doctor if your health is that big of a deal and that big of an issue for you, and that's a concern. Work with a doctor or a somebody who really knows your history and all the things that you're going through. But the thing that I found for me is I was able to, as I worked through stuff, I was able to do more and more intermittent fasting. And I find it really fascinating how, number one, when I first started this health journey and like working on myself, I was really surprised when I was actually able to fast. And now I'm fascinated with the fact that like I've turned into one of those people who like I can take long periods of time without eating, and it's really not that big of a deal. When you look back on my life, like I was sick, I was nauseous, I was getting lightheaded, I just had to eat. Like I was one of those. I was totally one of those people. And so you can build up to it. You can. There is kind of hope at the end of the tunnel. At the same time, you got to build up to it. And you got to work through stuff. Like my digestion was off. I think my hormones were off. I think like there was I was in adrenal fatigue. Like there was so much going on. And when I got things under control, it was surprising how fasting wasn't that big of a deal. And I feel so much better. And there's all the science about how fasting is really great and how fasting can help you and this and that. But the reality is just try it like once a month. If that's all you can do for right now, try it once a month. It's a great reset for your body. And you can do different fasts. There's literally, some people go on a whole dry fast, right? Like that's a whole thing. Some people just go on a water fast. Some people go on a juice fast. Some people go, I even started at some point where I'd go like on a sugar fast, like just for a certain amount of time, no sugar, nothing sugar, or like nothing dairy or nothing, like just to kind of tell myself I could do it. Sometimes it was just telling myself I could do it. That was it. Like I felt horrible, all this stuff. I was not seeing benefits. And I'm sure I was seeing benefits, but like I just had a horrible attitude towards it. But I was like, fine, I'm going to do it. And I did. But I now see so many benefits towards it. And now I just, I don't want to spend this whole podcast about what to do in fasting, because there's so many different facets of it. There's so many different things you can do. But that is a huge one. You can start today. It's totally free. In fact, sometimes saves you money. And it really does make a difference when you start doing it. All right. The next one is similar to the sun, but it's basically getting out in nature and grounding yourself. This one, when the doctor prescribed me going out into the sun, I didn't really know about grounding. And if you don't know about grounding either, I highly suggest you look into it. But basically it has to do with your magnetic field as a human being and the Earth's magnetic field. And like we put shoes on and it stops the magnetic. Now this may sound like total woo woo and craziness to you. I get that. At the same time, I'm telling you, one of the best things I ever did was take off my shoes, go outside, have my feet either on concrete, rock, somehow connected to the earth, in the dirt, some way, somehow connected to the earth, and getting sun. Now, I've already talked about sun, but this whole concept of grounding is just so rejuvenating. And especially if you are really stressed, one of the most amazing things I have found to do is early in the morning, well, not crazy early, but getting up in the morning and putting my feet on the earth, whether it's rock, I've even noticed concrete totally does the same thing. Concrete, because it's kind of rockish, it's a rock in the dirt, and it does the same thing. Letting light into my eyes without sunglasses, especially early morning light, that whole waking up process is, I think, as good as meditation. To me, I feel as good grounding, getting sun in the morning as when I'm meditating or doing intentional breathing and breath work. It just is this boost of clarity and calmness and peace. And no headphones, nothing, just calm, peace. You don't need to close your eyes. You can meditate. I've done meditation. I've done energy healing. I've done breath work. I've done all this stuff during it. You can, but just the concept of getting out, touching the ground, I hate to say connected to the earth, because some people get so weirded out by that, but it is. I don't know how else to explain it. Just try it. Just try it for 2 weeks. And if you feel nothing, well, there you go. But it was amazing to me. The other thing on top of that, and I've heard, which I have tried a little bit, when I travel, I don't travel literally around the world. So I don't have those kinds of experiences, but I have switched time zones. And just an hour or two, nothing major, but I have noticed if I switch time zones and I ground myself, I don't feel as jet lagged. Now, I'm not going crazy out of my comfort zone or my time zone. So maybe I just handled jet lag really well, but at the same time, I have noticed if I'll ground myself and I get some sun, I feel really great. And I've heard that. I've heard that if you're literally going on the other side of the world and you are full-blown jet lagged, one of the quickest ways to fix your circadian rhythm is, I hope I said that right, is to ground yourself. Put your feet in the dirt and it will bring back to center, fix whatever's going on, and get rid of that jet lag faster. All right. The next one is, I hate to say this, because when you are in full-blown mental struggle fighting your head, I would have to say this is one of the worst things that I don't want to do. And I fight and I struggle, and I'm the type of person that I just want to go in a little cocoon, leave me alone, let me hunker down in a safety blanket, and that doesn't help. Being social, getting out can be such a great help to boost your energy. And I get it. Now, I totally get it if you're an introvert and being with people can drain you. At the same time, there is a balance that you have to maintain, because if you're the type of person that hides yourself away, and you know what I'm talking about, if you've ever dealt with this, you know what I'm talking about, where you just hide. You just hide from people that care about you. You hide from the people that you know, that you like. You hide. And it's not healthy, especially when you get past the tipping point. And if you're an adult, or if you're a person who's taking care of yourself, you're the one that has to get yourself out of that. And one of the best ways to get yourself out of that funk is to go to do something social that is easy for you. Don't do something that's hard. Do something that's easy for you. Do something that maybe you can be around people that you really enjoy, but they're not going to require a lot of energy or output. And I know I say that because I know how hard it is when you're fighting your own head, and then to then leave and get out, you just want to stay in that cocoon of like comfort and joy and happiness. But let's face it, it's not joy and happiness. You're just going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole the majority of the time. So it's kind of one of those things, if you can tell yourself, suck it up, embrace the suck, get out, because you know it's going to make you feel better. It does. It usually does. All right. Another one that I hate to use because we all know it works, but at the same time, it stinks. And that's exercise. Now, what I will say is I was the type of person for a very long time that if I pushed myself too hard, I would be put back in bed for 3 days just because I exercised. So what I want to say, if you are somebody who really, really struggles with your head, you really struggle fighting your brain, and this is kind of an ongoing struggle, I do recommend exercising. I do. But what I recommend is like seriously low impact. And if you just walked like your street length, or you just walked up and down your driveway, or you got one of those Rebound, which are amazing. I mean, I could do a whole podcast about how amazing the Rebound is. Not that I'm a professional, just from what I've heard, the stuff that I've learned, me using it, I love it. I love the Rebound. It does your whole lymphatic system. Like I said, could do a whole podcast, but I digress. The thing is, start super low impact. If you just stretch, if you just sat on the floor and did yoga stretching, not even yoga, right? Just did the stretching part, just did the warm up part, just like moved your joints, just worked on your mobility, worked on you walking up and down your stairs a few times. Whatever you can do. Start low impact, especially if you're like working through autoimmune or mental health issues. One of the things for me that was such a struggle is I noticed I'd like go crazy workouts, and then it just put me in bed. And then I think, well, what's the point of this? Like, this sucks. And I just went too hard. It is really what it was. And my body just couldn't take it. But it was a whole thing. And so honestly, just start so slow, so slow. And if you can only go 2 minutes, then congratulate yourself. I mean, I scream this from the top of my lungs almost every podcast. Congratulate yourself for the minimal thing that you did. Like if you did 2 minutes, you did 30 seconds, you did it. That's great. When I started working out, when I started this whole concept of like, I'm going to stop putting myself in bed, my goal, I did not have this crazy goal ever. First, my goal was I'm going to walk in the morning until I don't want to walk anymore. That was my goal. And so I have a circular driveway. And so my driveway, I went around, I think the first 2 or 3 days that I did it, I went around maybe 2 or 3 times in this driveway, and it's not that big. Like, it's not like I was going half a mile. It was like I did 2 or 3 rounds in this driveway, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like this. I don't want to do this. And I didn't push myself. And at first I was kind of like, oh, but I should. That was stupid. And I'm like, nope, I did it. I worked out. And at the time, I was doing this coaching group where you could be accountable to people, and it was like, did you work out? And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I didn't work out. That's ridiculous. And then I thought, no, I did work out. I did. So I checked it off. Was it amazing? Like, was it so minimal? Yes, but I did it. And it made me okay doing it the next day. And so the next day, because I wasn't ripping myself apart, being like, that was stupid, you didn't do enough. I did enough. And so the next day I thought, okay, I kept the promise to myself that I got to quit when I wanted to quit. And so the next day I could do working out again because I didn't push it, because I didn't tell myself what a loser I was. And then same with the next day. And now I've talked about this before, but now I'm a runner. Now my goal is I'm running. Where before when I started, it was I am going to walk until I don't want to walk anymore. And some days that was like, I literally did. In fact, I remember one time I told myself I was going to work out and I opened the door and it was freezing. And I thought, I don't want to do this. I do not want to do this. And I thought, okay, you are going to walk around one time because one, then you can mark off working out, and two, to show yourself that you're consistent. That was my thought. And I did. I went out there, I walked around one time, I came back in, and I was like, I did it. And because here's the thing that I don't think I ever recognized before until I started doing this. And that was having confidence in yourself is just keeping promises to yourself. And I think sometimes we look at these amazing people, at least I do. I look at people like Ed Milet and just all the big names right now in self-development, and Andy Frisella, and who does 75 Hard, and all these people, and they're just jacked and they're huge, and you watch these people workouts, and even like women, right? Like you watch women who are like health coaches, and it's so hard to think your measly one lap in cold weather. And I live in Texas, so let's face it, cold weather to me, it was like 50 degrees probably, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And other people are like hiking in the snow, and I was like crying because I had to do one lap. But this is the thing that it taught me. You cannot go from 0 to Andy Frisella, or I can't even think of her name, but anyways, Jillian Michaels. You can't go from 0 to that type of person in like 1 or 2 workouts. And so you can't compare yourself with those people, because all you can do is start what you can do right now, and that's enough. And the confidence happens when you just keep going. And the confidence happened. I was still confident because the next day, instead of looking at it like I did one little stupid lap around my circle driveway, the confidence was there, that the fact that I didn't stop, that it was cold and I still worked out and I still did it, and I kept the promise to myself. And that's what I do now. And now that I know I work out, I know that that's a thing I do. Now the confidence I'm building is becoming better at working out. Now I'm like, okay, I know I work out now. That's already built. The habit of me working out, the confidence of me working out and being a runner has already been built. And that's how you build it, is just keeping consistent. Even if it's tiny, little, tiny. Just be consistent. And then you can be like, you know what? I'd really like some awesome arms. And how do I do that? Because now you're not trying to fight building arms and being consistent and still and hating the cold or being too hot or having the right workout gear or feeling uncomfortable at the gym. Now you're not struggling that. Just take one little hill at a time. And if it's just being consistent with working out, just start with that. It doesn't matter how little it is. All right. The next thing is energy healing. I talk about this with hypnosis, and you do have to learn how to work on yourself, or if you can work on yourself, it's totally free. At the same time, if you're not confident working on yourself and it's just not something you feel like you can do, I recommend 2 things. Number 1, meditate is a good starting point. It's not energy healing, it's not hypnotherapy, but it's a good starting point to start working on controlling your mind. The next thing is, if you do have the means, go hire somebody, go pay somebody until you can either learn it on YouTube, which is what I did, or learn it from a retreat, learn it from somebody. I also bought courses to teach myself. You can learn it on how to work on yourself and release emotion and let go of negative things. You could do it yourself, and you can. It's just, it will take time. Or if you don't want to spend the time, that's when you have to spend the money. But you don't have to. You could learn how to do it. The other thing is, I have a few free mini hypnotherapy sessions here on this podcast. And that way you can go and try them. I think episode 6 is one of them. I think episode 9 is another one. And so go try those that's a good starting point. But there is a ton of information on feeling energy and vibration, and there's meditations that you can work on. Start where you feel comfortable, start with what works, and then that takes time, just like working out, because instead of working out your body from exercising, this is where you're working out your mind and controlling your mind, controlling those thoughts, controlling what comes into your body. No longer, when you do energy healing, no longer are you just allowing things to come in and be like, that's the thought, and I don't have any control over it. You're going, no, I have total control. It's the same as working out your body. It's just working out your mind. All right. I think I have given you as many as I can think of. I really tried to think of as many as I possibly could, because I think it's so important to make sure that you have tools that you can start with, because I know so many times that people want to sell you a course, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think people should get paid for their gifts and their services. At the same time, I also know on the other side, sometimes you're the person that is stuck, not really financially able to do that kind of stuff. The last thing I will say, and this is kind of the last one, and that is the things that I have been talking about have all been fixing your mind, fixing who you are inside. If you can start just as much fixing the space and the environment and the people around you, when you get your mind and your body feeling good, it will also be extremely beneficial to have your environment and the relationships around you also being healthy, because that just adds to it. Making your home peaceful, making your room peaceful and joyful, and getting rid of the chaos, getting rid of the drama from unhealthy, negative relationships. It is so beneficial, and it's so calming and so peaceful. So that is kind of the next step after fixing what's going on up in here and fixing what's happening. If you can fix relationships between people, setting good boundaries, that kind of thing. And I know that's a issue in itself. But if you can start doing it, start being aware of it, and then also start making the environment that you live or work or the places that you're in, really start looking at the environments around you and holding them to a higher standard. And even if it's just a tiny, tiny higher standard, like making sure that you have good smelling candles or a diffuser or good music around you. Those little things can lighten your mood and help you so much. All right, I want to end with a quote because I love quotes, and I absolutely love I love words. I don't know how else to say it. I love words. And all right, so if I can, why can I not? This is craziness. Anyways, I know. I should have had this figured out, but did I? No. There it is, my phone. Okay. I love this. The strength of a woman is not measured by the impact that all her hardships in life have had on her. The strength of a woman is measured by the extent of her refusal to allow those hardships to dictate her and who she becomes. This is by Joy Belsey. I love that. So, I love you. Please share this if you found joy or help or value in this at all. I love you guys, and seriously, I am just cheering you on all the way.